If it is or if it ain't, it's gonna come out. Good morning, everybody. It's your girl Miracle Sims, and you're listening to God, Sex, and Love. Your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. It is February the 26th, 2024, and today the topic is controlling our emotions. Happy Monday. Happy Monday, everybody. I hope that you guys had a great weekend. Mine was just fine. Yeah, mine was good overall. Quick recap. I ended up leading a leadership training or assisting with leading a leadership training on Saturday. So that was pretty much my whole day. Went in early to set things up, um, did the training, stayed afterwards to make sure things was good for Sunday. So yeah, it was a long day, but I think all went well. So it's God be the glory for that, man. Um, yeah. My Mountain West journey, man. It's very interesting. Again, being employed at the house of the Lord and things of that nature is very interesting. But anywho, so again, yeah, Saturday went well. That's pretty much all I did the whole day. Like from 1 to 7, I was there. um, and then I was back on Sunday. I was back the very next day. Um, and it was good. I ended up working 2 of the gatherings, and then I got a chance to sit in the third. So I got a chance to get communion again, as well as the word. Um, they even had a family connect moment and whatnot at the, after each gathering and things. So time for people to, meet each other, especially people that have children, to meet each other, let the kids play, things of that nature. So I got a chance to finally meet some people, got a chance to reconnect with some people and things like that. So and meet some new people. So yeah, all was well yesterday and over the weekend for me. Again, it seems like most of my time was at the church, but it's all good. I greatly appreciate each and everything about my journey thus far. I found it interesting to pass this message yesterday, and I feel like it kind of coincides with today's conversation in a way as well. But if I was going to tell you the main inspiration behind today's topic of controlling our emotions, I would say first it started with my son, and then it was reiterated by the prayer meditation, and ultimately, it reminded me of again the sermon yesterday, and I'm like, okay, obviously I need to talk about this today. So, what had happened was right after my husband left out to go work, um, here comes my son, right? And so we do our good morning greetings and things like that. And um, he wants to know what we're doing today. So I let him know, hey, I got to do the juice. I got to do GSL later. But other than that, that's all I pretty much got. And um, and I asked him, did he want to do the prayer meditation with me? So you guys know, ever since I started this thing, I've been doing or taking time in the mornings to listen to the Soul Space app. And every day is, something that gets my heart and mind on the lure, and so we were talking about doing it, and then at some point we just was talking randomly about different stuff. And then NJ asked me something about crying. Either he brought up the fact that I guess my husband tends to pick on him about crying, or something like that. He's like, oh, Papa says, or Papa say I'm like this, where. And I'm like, well, I think it's good that you show your emotion and things like that, that you it's like you just have a big heart. And so I was having that conversation with him this morning. And then I was telling him that, sometimes I cry too. And, I was like, Papa cries too, but it's a very rare thing that I've seen my husband cry. Like honestly, I probably didn't see him shed a tear probably until like he became a father. And I'm not saying like when I was giving birth, not then. I'm talking about like um well, without getting too deep into it, I think it was like we were just pretty much talking about either he was making an observation about himself and things like that. And I think in that moment is when he kind of maybe shed a tear or two. But the thing was, I wasn't even really aware that he was, shedding tears or something because, well, one, I didn't have my contacts on, and usually the way my husband would come and talk to me, he'll just come, randomly. We'll be in the dark, we don't even have to turn on the lights or anything like that. Say if he's in his office, he'll come in here and or wherever I'm at or whatever, and just talk and stuff and whatnot. So I don't even think I realized that he was crying. Like it's so, but anyway, I say all that to say that my son, we were talking about, crying and things of that nature, and I was telling him that it's okay to cry. I cry, Papa cries, everybody, cries at some point. Sometimes, again, I cry. I feel like I cry more these days, tears of joy. That's, I guess, one of my spiritual, um, or the ways that it comes out, in the form of tears sometimes. So it's very interesting. But anywho, so we're having that conversation. And then I said, okay, let's go ahead and listen to the prayer meditation. And long story short, the prayer meditation is all about like being comfortable with giving God our emotions. And I was like, son, did you just speak prophetically about today? Talk about, you start talking about tears and crying and whatnot. And then here comes this prayer meditation about emotions. So we're listening to it and it's good and everything. And, I'm receiving what it has to say about, again, that God is a safe place, things of that nature. Um, and then ultimately, again, the word emotions just kept standing out to me. And then I was reminded of one of the quotes that I wrote down, the pastor said yesterday. And he said this, he said, don't make permanent decisions over temporary emotions. He was talking all about like, I guess when you have a bad boss and if you're ready to quit your job and things of that nature, um, things that you should do instead of making a rash decision and whatnot. So again, with all this emotion talk and everything, this is pretty much what led me to today's conversation. So let me share with you guys what the Lord done shared with me this morning, and I hope that it will encourage and inspire you. So first, I came across Proverbs 25 and 28, and it says, "A man without self-control is like a city broken into and left without walls." Ooh. Now, I don't know if that's hope. I don't know if that's encouraging and inspiring, but either way, um, I mean, well, one, the Bible is always telling us to have self-control. Um, there were four things that the pastor said yesterday in regards to like, four questions to ask yourself about, to ask yourself before you quit your job and things like that. And even when I went deeper this morning and looked into gotquestions.org and read this article all about what does the Bible say about managing slash controlling your emotions or controlling emotions. Both of those conversations, I think, just pretty much reiterated self-control and seeking the Lord in our moments. The pastor was talking about doing things like, asking a question about what's frustrating you at the job. Is the problem solvable? Am I the reason that I'm unhappy at work? And things of that nature. And it was saying also like, am I learning or am I leaving something or am I stepping into something? Um, so that all of that was interesting to reflect on yesterday. But when we're talking about this conversation about emotions and controlling them and things of that nature, one thing that stood out to me in the article that I read was saying that it's good for us to um, well, one, to not think our it's bad to have emotions because, well, one, the Lord has emotions and he made us in his image, so he gave us the ability to have emotions and whatnot as well. It started off, the article kind of started off by talking about like what would it be like if we didn't have emotions. And I think we all got a general idea. We think that maybe we would just be like soulless robots, or um they talked about this character in Star Wars, I believe, um, and kind of compared it to being like that. Um, or sometimes people think about like when people seem to lack empathy or they seem to lack um, the ability to empathize and things of that nature. Um, that is inhuman, right? To walk through life and just not have any remorse feelings or anything. Like if you live like that, I mean, it's easy for you to probably kill, steal, and do things that again are not according to God's will, way, and spirit. So um yeah, all of that is more things to think about. But I think I'm just letting you guys know that what was standing out to me in the article was just a reminder that emotions aren't bad, right? It's not a sin to have an emotion and things like that. Um, Now, what we do with our emotions and stuff like that, I think that's where the issues come in. But having an emotion and things of that nature is not bad. So then from there, acknowledging whatever your emotion is and then going to the Lord, right, about what to do with it at that point. That's pretty much the beginning of how to control your emotions. But let's go ahead and get into the next verse. And that's Proverbs 14:29. It says, whoever is slow to anger has great understanding, but he who has a hasty temper exalts folly. And that might be Pope this morning if you're one of those type of people that are easily hot-headed or things of that nature. If you're somebody that allows emotions to control you versus controlling your emotions, then yeah, it says that is foolishness. That's pretty much what folly means, foolishness. To do that and to live that way. And I know it don't feel good to, let things go sometimes, right? It don't feel good to try to do things God's way sometimes because you're like, man, it don't feel fair. It feels like it's no justice in that X, Y, and Z until you start to do it regularly and see how God will work it out for you. Um, when you're first getting started, I guess, in this game of self-control, then it can be difficult, right? Especially if you're someone that, you like to say how you feel and you like to, say what you want and do what you want when you want and all that type of stuff. Like, no, you have to humble yourself before the Lord and handle things in his way, right? And again, that don't always feel good. There's been situations where I'm like, man, this person just did me wrong, or man, I get upset and whatnot as well. I'm pretty sure I've showed you guys on here me upset at some point and things of that nature. But the thing about what I feel like the Lord working within me is I think it takes a lot for me to get to the point where I'm like really upset. You know what I mean? Like I usually just kind of take things as they go, and things of that nature, let it flow. Um, just kind of again leaning depend on the Lord and things of that nature. But I'm not sitting here saying it's not difficult, right, to go through, or to be, faced with people that like again, do you wrong and things of that nature. Even what Pastor was talking about, having a bad boss. Like, if people are operating, for example, in deception and manipulation and intimidation or any of those things, which was qualities that the pastor was saying is a bad boss. But anybody, right? They could be family, right? They could be friends. They can be, bosses, yes, or anything else. Like, if you're interacting with people that are treating you in such ways, it can be difficult to have that self-control and to ultimately control your emotions about whatever the situation is. But again, as we humble ourselves before the Lord, um, that's what matters at the end of the day. It reminds me of something I saw this morning. There was a gentleman that I did a show with some years ago. He was sharing on social media, I guess, some things that has happened recently in his life, and he's just addressing it and things of that nature and telling people how he feels about it and whatnot. And as I was reading, what he was saying, I could, feel the hurt and the pain that was coming from what he was saying and how he felt about like how people was viewing him or addressing him in a situation, whatever it might be. I have no clue as to what he's talking about, but I did feel led to just kind of hopefully leave an encouraging word. And I just pretty much let him know that, hey, at the end of the day, we may never please people, right? Because you could do something that could be great in some people's eyes, and then in other people's eyes, they'll never understand it, right? And then on the flip side, you could do something that's terrible, and it'd be great in people's eyes. So if you're out here trying to please people and things of that nature, then I mean, I hope and pray that you rebuke that energy, right? Rebuke that type of spirit of what they call it, like people pleasing and things of that nature, and start to focus on pleasing the Lord. Because yeah, I mean that's all that really matters at the end of the day. And I know that's hard, right? And again, we can be easily swayed by, people's opinions and all those other things that I was just shared a minute ago about, especially if you're dealing with particular situations and people and doing particular things, you want to handle that, right? Sometimes some of us have that type of boldness where we're like, um, again, we want to address it right then because we want to say what we feel in X, Y, and Z. But the word is telling us not to be like that. It's telling us not to, again, matter of fact, did I read it? Here's a verse right here talking about this, y'all. James 1:19. It says, "Know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger." Now, I don't know how y'all feel about that, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know if you guys are like, oh, that ain't for me. Some people might feel that way. That's not what I want to do, right? I don't want to be pushover, X, Y, Z. Nobody's saying be a pushover, right? Nobody's saying be a doormat or anything like that. But at the same time, everything don't need your opinion, everything don't need your um response. Sometimes you could just listen and go through the situation and let God handle it, right? Especially if you're somebody that's hot tempered and things of that nature. You might need to be practicing, what letting the Lord fight your battles. Now, if you're someone, I guess maybe in the opposite way, kind of like me, you might need to learn how to stand up for yourself a little bit more, things of that nature. But at the same time, still have balance to know that, hey, at the end of the day, God is in control, not me. I'm not going to let this emotion, or like the pastor said yesterday, this temporary emotion, whatever the case may be, I'm not going to let those things control me. I'm going to let the Lord control me. And if the Lord leads me to say something, speak on it, whatever the case may be, I'm going to do that, right? If the Lord leads me to hold my peace, be still, do that. Um, but what stood out to me in that verse that I just shared, which was James 1:19, it talked about let every person, okay? So again, just that part right there, that's what stood out to me the most. Let every person. So that means each and every one of us, male, female, anybody, everybody, every. I think those words matter because sometimes we think that, oh, well, it's just my personality and I just gotta, get back. I just gotta speak my mind, speak my piece, whatever. I can't do that. But that type of energy doesn't really get you far, honestly. You know what I mean? At least from my observation. Like again, yeah, there's times to be bold. There's times to speak up. There's times to, again, yes, address things head on and things of that nature. I'm not saying don't do that. If the Lord is leading you to do that, right? But then there are times where we need to humble ourselves, and like even what the pastor was saying, submitting to authority and things of that nature as well. And so, I believe that the Lord will lead us and guide us in what situations to do what thing at. But ultimately, we need to be controlling our emotions and humbling ourselves to the Lord, regardless of the other person. And I know that's another difficult thing as well. I think the pastor had another thing to say about that, that stood out to me this morning. Stood out to me yesterday that I wrote down. But I don't know if I can find it. Oh, okay. So it's the part about refusing the temptation to be dishonoring, even if they aren't honorable. Even if the person that you're dealing with isn't an honorable person, sometimes we still have to humble ourselves and refuse that temptation to be dishonoring. Because sometimes people are in positions that, again, God put them there for a reason. Why? I mean, I'm not trying to preach the whole pastor sermon, you guys from yesterday or whatever, but I mean, it's really just really reiterating and just kind of hitting home with this conversation about controlling our emotions. Because I guess I just made different observations, y'all. I mean, my own self as well, but then, as I talk to different people and stuff, and I feel like, one of the things that I've observed with some of the individuals that I spoke with is that, they're the opposite of me in regards to, I might be the type of person that takes too much on, or I'll be like letting too many things go, and stuff like that. But hey, I try my best to do that in wisdom, you know what I mean? Because my thing is, and not to be like, I'm not saying in wisdom to be like, again, never addressing things, but it's the wisdom to be like, what be on my heart and mind to say sometimes, don't be honorable, right? It don't be what I need to be saying, right? And so because of that, I will rather be quiet than to disrespect people or do things of that nature. Now, people don't do me like that. You know what I'm saying? I wish people would do me like that. But, and think about that when they deal with me, but they don't do that. But regardless of that, I still gotta humble myself, and give honor and credit where all of that is due. Again, I mean, honestly, the Cast movie is a great indication of things that I've been through and stuff like that. The character Valencia that I was playing is a combination of a group of people that, they were playwrights and things of that nature that, treated their cast probably not the best, and did all these things. But I humbled myself in their authority. At the end of the day, I was just an actress in their show. You know what I'm saying? And so I can't sit here and, I can be upset. I can, again, acknowledge whatever emotion that I felt as I went through those situations. But at the same time, I was doing exactly what the pastor was talking about yesterday, paying attention to different things like that and learning from it. Obviously, it was inspirational to me to be able to create the movie and whatnot based on it and things like that. And that I hope will encourage and inspire people to not be that way, but then also acknowledging that people are humans at the end of the day as well. And so sometimes, we all are on a journey of learning and things of that nature. So I hope that you guys are encouraged and inspired by the things I'm saying right now. I don't know if this might be pulp, this might be something that you didn't want to hear, but you got to get in control of your emotions. And I say ultimately let the Lord control you and your emotions, because at the end of the day, if we let our emotions control us, we can see all around us what those results look like. You know what I mean? So I don't even have to sit here and list it. It's on the news, it's on social media, people being, out of self, not having self-control. So anyway, I mean, that's pretty much it in regards to the verses. I mean, again, if you guys want to go deeper and check out that article at godquestions.org, again, it is called What Does the Bible Say About Managing/Controlling Emotions? I feel like it was a good read, something good to reflect on, especially if you're someone that needs to practice this. But ultimately, I guess the juice is, hey man, self-control is one of the fruit of the spirits, and in order to receive that thing, you got to get into relationship with God, right? We got to be studying his word. We got to be doing things the way he wants us to do it, and being in constant communication with him and things like that. Again, humbling ourselves before him. Lord, I feel sad. I feel mad. I feel this, that, and the other, right? How do you want me to handle this situation? And what I found, as much as I, humble myself, I know it might look foolish to people. Some people like, oh, you letting people run all over you. Oh, you this, do that. Miracle, you don't, da, da, da. But at the end of the day, all things have worked together for my good. And that, like everything. Like, honestly, again, I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I didn't go through the stuff I went through. Let a lot of stuff go, and let the Lord fight my battle. And at the end of the day, again, situations that could have been terrible, worked out in my favor. And I just, I just give glory and honor to the Lord for that. And I hope that you guys are encouraged and inspired to do those things as well. The Bible verse of today is Psalm 56:3. It says, "But when I am afraid, I will put my trust in you." Friends, I hope you all enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day. And I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Bye-bye. Did you know that you can support us for just 99 cents a month? That's right, friends. You can support everything that we do here at GSL for just 99 cents a month. Take a look around wherever this post is. You might see a link or maybe even a button that says support. Go there, check out the options, consider supporting us because, we enjoy bringing you all the daily inspiration as well as the weekly talk show, but we have much, much more to come. Thank you so much for the consideration. Bye-bye.